And that was, JD, I don't remember how many games ago it was now, 5 or 6 games ago. You said NC State, that was going to be a beatdown. It wasn't that game. North Carolina certainly was. And this, I don't know what's more than a beatdown, but oh my gosh, a 40, what was the final score? 110, 67,
67. Yep.
43-point win for Duke. And it started off as a kind of like a back and forth affair. It was 14-10 after the first 5.5 minutes. Both teams were getting up and down the court. The pace was crazy, and it was still a pretty fast paced game throughout. But as this game went on, the gap widened in large part because Illinois just couldn't hit anything from 3 point range. That, as well as Duke played, I think that was certainly a major factor in the score of this game being as lopsided as it was. But for me, I think we have to start with Sion James because at the start of this game, it seemed like Illinois had a little bit of a plan to kind of leave him open. They were daring him to shoot. They switched the matchup. They had Trey White on Cooper Flag, and they had Rickhouse guarding Sion James. And I don't know if, in fairness, I don't know if it was by design, but Rickhouse was guarding him like 5 or 6 feet away. And Sion said, okay. And he stepped in and nailed the first one, and then he hit the second one. And I thought that was really big for Duke early on to establish themselves in this game and get them going early on and give confidence to the rest of the team.
Welcome to the magical world of Madison Square Garden, Magical Square Garden, otherwise known as Cameron North. It was electrifying as a Duke fan from the beginning to the end. I'm not quite certain how I would have felt if I was an Illinois fan, but
Not well.
I mean, Jack, you were so spot on in your pregame analysis in terms of they can hit from 2 point range, but they struggle. That would be an understatement for this game
I
from
don't
3 point range.
I well, I appreciate that, but I far underestimated the struggle that could take place today. What did they finish? Let me just check what they finished from three. 2 for 26. At one point, they were 0 for 17. So they got hot and finished, 2 of their last 9. I mean, just yikes. I don't know what else. And gotta say, we caught them at the right time. Right, with all the illness and the injury. If we play this Illinois team a couple months ago, it's probably a different story. But the one thing I think Duke did an excellent job of was Yakuchonis just couldn't get any rhythm. And again, I think a lot of the credit goes to Sion James, who just, fought over screens. And then also, you got to give a lot of credit to Kaman Malawach. The first play of the game, Kaman Malawach and Sion James have Yakuchonis trapped near the half court line. And that, as much as Illinois got some easy buckets with off ball cuts, etc., that kind of set the tone for the game in terms of not letting Yakuchonis get into a rhythm and get guys decent shots. I mean, they had some decent, I don't know. I don't really know what I'm saying here. That was a crazy game. I'm kind of at a loss. It was totally unexpected, and it was just an awesome team performance up and down the roster. We started with Sion James hitting threes, and we finished with Hubbard hitting a three, and in the middle was just
There, even if we had the Garden was packed with Cameron crazies, although they were in disguise, not in one end, but when Hubbard was in the game, you could hear the fans. And after he hit the three, Did you see the bench explode?
I
They
that
just
It was one of so when I went to the game at Virginia, it was one of the big things I noticed being there was how into it the bench was. Like every shot or every big play, especially, But to your point, the bench was going crazy, and not just Hubbard, right? Like Foster gets into the game, he gets his first layup, the bench is going crazy. Darren Harris gets his bucket, the bench is going crazy. Gongpa had that really nice
nice.
footwork
Oof.
where he scores. The bench is going crazy. I think that just shows not that I think at this point in the season we know how connected this team is, but just further evidence of that. Um, an awesome team performance. I don't know where do you want to go next, because I think we could go player by player here for sure.
I think so. We should. I just my only other comment was I thought this would be a good first or second round March Madness test that you could pick up someone like Illinois, but hopefully Illinois will have. Did you see the replay of when how the Illinois player fractured his wrist?
Oh, that looked so painful. I hadn't seen it when they showed that play. I was like, he must have been in excruciating pain because he went
Well,
full airborne and he was not like both hands. It was a crazy block.
it was well. That's it. The guy was coming in on a drive, and he went up to block it, and he got it with both hands. It was just a phenomenal play. His presence
Yes.
is obviously very, very important to why Illinois was once, a really top ranked team. And then, the illness is not much you can do. But look, a fractured wrist, maybe he's available to play if they can get there. Maybe.
Maybe.
Um,
I
but
Probably
and
not.
he's a big body. Well, you heard what his comment was. Apparently, when they took him out of the game, his comment was, "Take me up."
Yeah.
And
But
everyone saw what happened, and they said, "No, no, no, put me back in." And they said, "No, you're done."
I think it's one of those things where in the moment with the adrenaline, yeah,
Yeah.
but afterwards, maybe not. All right.
All right. So take us through the numbers for Duke first, and then
I've got the
Illinois.
stats. I think we know Illinois wasn't good. We'll leave it at that. I got the stats pulled up for us. Well, not for you, but for the rest of us and the Duke side of things. So I definitely think to start because of that's how it started for Duke. Sion James had 11 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, and a steal, knocking down those 2 threes early, which really set the tone for Duke. He was awesome today, just awesome. And I said it before, I'll say it again. I think the way he started the game was really important for how Duke played the rest of the game. Just steady presence, as you like to say, from those three guys, him, Gillis, and Malik Brown, who we hope to get back this season. And he just set the tone for Duke today with the way he started the game with his shooting.
I couldn't agree more. And as you're going through the numbers, one of the things to keep in mind was because it was such a blowout. I know sometimes you have the stats with the minutes, and sometimes you don't have them available. And but like when you get to like Cooper Flagg played 23 minutes. So when you get to his stats, let's just know that he played 23 minutes. So he played a half.
Yeah, I have the stats. I may have the minutes on my phone, but I don't have my phone on me. So
Okay, it's just
okay.
go, just go.
All right. So I think next up for me was Con Knipple, who he's been on a tear as of late. He's been playing exceptionally well. And today it continued, and he was really good early, and he was really good throughout this game in however many minutes he played, but certainly no more than he definitely didn't play 30 minutes. He had 15 points, 4 rebounds, a couple assists, a steal. I thought he was really aggressive getting downhill to the basket. And then, as he always does, playing under control, playing with 2 feet, using his pump fakes, using his body to score in and around the basket. And he hit Malawach for one of at least 2 alley-oops in this game. The second one from Cooper was certainly emphatic. And then he hit a 3 in that early 5-0 run to start the second half, which in the past 3 games, Duke has just been starting the second half on runs that have just put the other team kind of, I wouldn't say like out of their misery. That's probably too far. But started the halves where the other teams come into it like, yeah, if we get started, maybe we can get back into the game. And Duke has just said, not going to happen. And it continued today.
It was 54-37 at the half. I mean, they had a 17-point lead, but that is, in college basketball, you could think about that in terms of, we could possibly cut it to 10 points with 10 minutes to go. But the way that we started with Flag, with a dunk in the second, when we came out in the second half, that first segment, his dunk, K2's 3, quick 5 points, timeout, Illinois. Wait. Flag?
You're right.
No, because they called timeout twice.
But that sequence is right, though. It was Coop, steal, and dunk. Kahn, 3, assisted by Coop. Timeout, Illinois. And the run kind of continued after that.
K2, Kahn with the reverse, and then Flag had the other dunk, and then they called timeout again to try to see if they could stop it, and they couldn't. It was a tsunami coming at them.
It certainly was. And we may, have a little bit of a disagreement in terms of the sequencing there, because I have Cooper Flag as being responsible for the first 12 points to start the second half for Duke, with the assist to Kahn on that 3, and then the rest of it being his scoring. But today's not the day for us to have an argument over that, because it just doesn't matter. And speaking of Cooper Flag, I think he had 6 points at the half. And if there's one thing to pick at today, it would be leaving Cooper in at the end of the first half with 2 fouls. If there's one thing to pick at today, that would be it. And the reason being is number one, Illinois scored 2 buckets because Cooper couldn't defend the way he typically does. He was worried about picking up that 3rd foul. And number 2, he didn't seem to play with his rhythm towards the end of that first half, because I think he was trying to avoid that foul. And Illinois got on, I guess, in this game, they went on a run to cut it to 17 at the half. But boy, oh boy, Cooper got it going to start the second half, and then we just rolled from there. He's just, what a basketball player Cooper Flag is. That guy's good at basketball. And the alley-oop to Khalid Malawach was insane. It was just insane.
Look, end of the first segment, we increased the lead. We won every segment in the second half. That's how dominant it was. The lead just kept ballooning. And all right, so Flag finished with how many points?
Flag had 16, 7, and 5 assists. Tyrese Proctor, he had a little bit of a slow start in terms of aggressiveness, I thought, but then he got it going probably about 8 minutes into the first half. He had 12 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, and a steal. Malawach had a big game, 13 points, 7 rebounds, a couple assists, and a block. I think my favorite stat is that if you combine Malawach and Gangba from our center minutes, right? And let me just say Gangba's stats off the bench before I do the combination here. Gangba had 5 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. So if you combine the production from our center spot, you get 18 points, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, a steal, and a block. That's just incredible. And Gangba was really good again today. And Lawrence Freeman had said, we might be able to, we may not lose as much this go around because Gangba's offense can kind of make up for what we're missing with Malik Brown's defense. And Gangba offensively, he just is so talented. And we saw it. He had a couple of attempts at drives that didn't work out, but I like the aggressiveness. And then the footwork when he scored over Tomislav Ivicic toward the end of the game was super impressive.
It reminds me of all the dunks and alley oops. I think my favorite was Sion's drive to the basket where he missed when he went over the 7-footer and he tried to slam it down. That was just incredible. I loved Coop's two-handed dunk when he slipped between the two players. The alley-oops to Mal we've gotten used to. There are just so many highlights from this game. So it was just great.
All right, let me wrap up the stats and then we'll get back into we'll go to the chat after the stats. So Mason Gillis hit a 3. He had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal. He just continues to do Mason Gillis things, and his scoring is going to fluctuate depending on the game. So he had another solid performance. Isaiah Evans, both of us did not think he could, 2 games in a row. And we couldn't have been more wrong with that statement because he was on fire again today. And I think more importantly, he continued to attack the basket. As you said in the Virginia game, he had 1 layup that counted, but he had 2 more that I thought should have counted. And today he had a couple of layups, and even better than that, he had 6 free throws. He was getting to the free throw line, aggressive. 17 points for Evans, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and he even had a nice extra pass, which was very un-Evans-like at the end of the game to Darren Harris. Unfortunately, Harris didn't knock down the 3, but it was a really good pass from Isaiah Evans. And lastly, Caleb Foster. 12 points for Mr. Foster in limited minutes today. He chipped in an assist. And, Coach Shire was talking about Evans in his one of his press conference interviews, and he said, I don't think Caleb or I thought this is how the season would go. And then he continued and he said, still think we need him. And I think it's important to point out that everyone remembers what Slim did against Auburn. And I mean, who could forget, right? 6 threes in the first half, 18 points for Isaiah Evans. But Caleb Foster also came off the bench and had a big performance for Duke in that game. He had 11 points and 2 assists. And on what is hopefully going to be a 6-game run for Duke in the NCAA tournament, we're going to need one of those kind of performances from Caleb Foster in a game that we don't think, is going to be that day, but we're going to need him to do, one time on that 6-game run. So good signs for Mr. Foster, 2 of the last 3 games in limited minutes getting to double figures.
And I know you mentioned it earlier, Spencer Hubbard. Crowd favorite, bringing the ball up. Jack, I cannot remember. I simply can't remember. It was with about 6:40 that he emptied the bench. He had Foster, Evans, Gillis, and Gangba all in with Darren Harris. And then with about 3 minutes and the game completely out of reach, Hubbard comes in, Begovic comes in, and
Sheffield.
Sheffield comes in. Can you remember Coach K doing this?
At this point in the season, no. But
And I give Shire knows the game is well in hand. He's not risking injury. He's already got a problem with
Malik
Malik
Brown.
Brown. So with 7 minutes to go and the game well in hand, he just says, we're giving playing time to the bench.
And Stanley Borden got into the game. I don't think he's got. I don't. This may have been his like second or third appearance of the season, and he's him and Hubbard are the only guys left from Coach K, if I have that correct. So that's a fun fact. All right, the chat is popping today, so we're gonna go to the chat right now. Quality touch. Yo, smash them 100%. And as Ryan Jones says next, belt to butt. And Coop didn't even break a sweat. Man, this team is fun. Yeah. Lawrence Freeman, I didn't see this coming. Neither did we. We were we were off. We were off by a bit on this one. Other than the pace, that's the only thing we were close on. Score, not very close.
I mean, Jack, you got closer in your prediction. You were at 92-82. And I was at 85-80, which was...
Oh, we're going to get to the person who's the closest in a few comments here.
Go ahead.
Joe M., what a game. Those 2 threes from Sion James kicked us off. Absolutely. 7 players with more than 10 points. Just, as you said, Joe, really well-rounded team effort today. And I think another stat that illustrates that, they're talking about it on the broadcast. Duke finished with, this is an incredible stat, 28 assists on 40 made field goals. Just incredible. Passing unselfishness from this Duke basketball team today. All right, let's continue. Brody Swing says, this Duke team could beat at least 5 NBA teams, no exaggeration. I'm not so sure about that one, but I will say that there's certainly 5 NBA players on this Duke team. They are just loaded with NBA talent.
Well, in fairness, I think they could give the Wizards a pretty good game. And I think the way the Pelicans season is gone, they may not win. But there are a number of NBA teams at this point, given that there are so many players on this Duke team, 6 of them that are scheduled to go in, that could go between 1 and 60 in the draft, that there are at least 2. So I don't know. Maybe there are 5.
As of right now, I think there's 4 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks, depending on what certain guys want to do. And I'll leave that for later. Ryan Jones, how in the world do you guys award medals this game? Whole team deserves gold. Ryan, I'm glad you brought that up. I'm having a tough time. I'm trying to process as we're going. I think I've made some decisions, and I think I have to pick players because I think it'd be a cop-out to not pick people. But it's perfectly fine if you guys want to disagree with me today. I think there are lots of deserving players for this game.
Ryan, I'm with you. I've been sort of sitting back waiting to see what the young buck was going to do with the medals for this game. But it's like, Hubbard, 3-pointer, Madison Square Garden. Honorable mention. I mean, like, where do you begin?
On a side note, my favorite thing about Hubbard is every time, because he's hit a number of shots and had a number of assists now. And when they pan the camera to him, it's just like his expression is like, yeah, I expected to do that. Next play. Like he's
Or when he was going back down the court, classic Duke.
right. Exactly.
He's in the game. It's not just that he's in the game, he is completely into the flow of the game. What am I going to do?
He's not only fun, he's good. Like he's genuinely good. Owen Brown, Illinois fan here. You've got one hell of a basketball team. Owen, I hope your team can, get over what's been going on for the past month and a half and find some rhythm to heading into March, because this is not the Illinois team that we expected to play. So I hope that Illinois can, right the ship here, get healthy, and find some rhythm heading into, the Big Ten tournament and then March Madness. Ryan Jones. This is something both of us have talked about, maybe not on the channel, but to each other for a bit now. Ryan Jones says, also, not to be a Debbie Downer after the win, but I hope it's a false rumor that Jay Lucas is going to Miami.
What?
And yes, that is a rumor. I saw it as well, Ryan. Apparently, that is who they are targeting to fill their head coaching position. All right. Just quick thoughts on that, right? Just quick thoughts on that really quickly here. It would suck in the sense that you would go to another ACC school and we'd have him at Miami and Jeff Capel at Pittsburgh. So in that sense, it would suck. But on the other side of things, I know both you and I, and you feel free to talk about this as much as you like, JD, have felt like Jay Lucas for the past couple of years. It's a matter of time for him to become a head coach. And I just wish it was somewhere else. But if that's his best opportunity and he thinks it's a good fit, wish him all the best, except for when he plays against Duke.
All right. So I had not heard this rumor. And when I went to the K Academy 2 years ago, Jay Lucas was my coach. And I got to know Jay. You play about 6 or 7 games. You see him afterwards at the receptions and everything. He is just an awesome, awesome young man with an incredible ability to find talent. That was his job at Kentucky. It was the reason why Coach Shire sought him out to bring him in as an assist. I don't know who's his first assistant, but bring him in as a coach. His trajectory, his understanding of the game, his ability to recruit in this NLI era, boy, I was hoping we'd have him for a couple of more years, but because he's so young, maybe he's 34 by now. He is
not much younger than Shire.
No. He is a good guy. He is a fun guy that, coaching what was I, 66 at the time when I'm there. And he just said, you're getting your minutes, even though your game is not what it may have been when you were younger. But he was just a good guy. And I would hate to see him go. I really enjoyed Jay Lucas. And as you know, when we went to the Boston College game, and
still can't believe that he remembered you.
I went up and I said, hey, Jay. And he turns around and he goes, Jonathan. And I go, yes, it's me. And you kind of flipped out a bit that he actually remembered me. We had a lot of fun together, and he is a class act. And whether it's Miami now or it's some other team in the future, he is definitely going to be the head coach of a team.
All right, next. Wes Midnight Assassin. Wes, you're the closest of anybody. You said, as you say here, I told you it was going to be 90-70. I had your comment ready. Don't worry. 20-point game, but wasn't expecting 40 points. But everyone was in double figures. Wes, he also had said he predicted, as he said, 90-70, and he said four guys in double figures. So he was pretty close on both accounts there. Definitely hat tip to you. You win our prize for the day. We don't have an actual prize yet, but we will someday.
We will.
And
We will. We're keeping track of all of this, and we will give a prize out at the end of the year. So to everyone that's putting their comments in, one, we thank you. It's fun for each game, and yes, we're going to tabulate it and figure out a way to give an award of some type to the person who's done the most close predictions.
yep, absolutely. So Wes also says it's true. He is going to Miami. Yahoo has it out there. C. Foss showed up today. I like what I see from him. Really awesome to see Caleb for the second game out of three. It's really hard to sit on the bench for the first 30 minutes plus and then come in and be productive. And he's done that now in two of the last three games. So, hat tip to Caleb Foster, and really important for him building his confidence.
But would you check something? Because I think as a team we had 7 turnovers.
Oh, don't worry. The method was one step ahead of you. He has us at 28 assists to 6 turnovers. And to your point, the method just incredible. Like what an assist to turnover ratio for a team.
But do me a favor, Jack. Check Caleb Foster's turnovers. How many did they credit him with?
One.
Any? One. And I thought he lost the ball a second time. So even in that condensed time, he is he it's funny. He is now in the last stretch here, the microwave, when as Isaiah Evans has become a more complete player because we've been touting his defense, and you even wanted to give him credit for a nice pass when he was trying to get Evans in the game. So and yes, he's still hitting 3-pointers, even the one that sort of hit the back of the rim and just kind of fell in.
And then it was funny because he then took a mid-range shot immediately afterwards, and it was the same. It hit the back of the rim. It just didn't fall in, but he missed the same way. So yeah, it's a funny observation. I guess the other thing was Foster had 3 fouls in those 6 minutes or so, or 5 minutes. So certainly things that he can improve on, but good to see him start to build his confidence back. Wes also chimed in and said John needs to bring Nolan Smith back. That would be fun. Nolan is currently on the revamped coaching staff at Memphis. Good for Nolan after being on the Louisville coaching staff the past couple years to be on a part of a winning program again. So happy for Nolan Smith, and it would be cool to get the former teammates back on the same coaching staff.
I'm still gonna cry over the loss of Jay Lucas if that's what happens.
We shall see. We shall see. And lots of time, between now and the end of the season. You never know if another position opens up for Jay Lucas. Last one before I get to the medals here. Wes chimes in. He said, JD, let me get that scarf, man. It's a nice scarf you got there.
Here we go. It was given to me as a present. It was along with, there's Duke paraphernalia all over the place here, but thank you.
Okay, all right. The moment that a select few have been waiting for. the medals for today. All right, this is tough, guys. I'm going to be very honest. This is tough. But I am going to go with the gold medal, Sion James. I think I said it a few times. I think the way he set the tone for this game was so important. And with the amount of the parity in terms of the production from Duke, I think his early scoring was super important. The silver, I'm going to go with Concanipple. I thought he was excellent again. And I think important.
Especially Jack, especially in front of the whole Knipple family was there tonight.
That they were.
They take up an entire row in Madison Square.
It's I was thinking about that because they were all there for the Duke North Carolina game, and I gotta say, it's nice to be in the era of NIL, because they're getting that. I'm sure Khan's getting a decent amount of money, so he can get all of his brothers into the game with all the extra seats that they need. They probably don't just get the standard 2 tickets that the family gets, right? You got to get all the knipples into the garden or into Cameron, which is even more difficult. The bronze, man, I'm gonna go with Isaiah Evans. He again. I think the first half. I'm weighting it a little bit more in the first half production today, and he hit those 2 threes. That's that second one, which landed on the back of the rim and fell in, and it was just. I thought his scoring, I thought his defense was good. He did pick up a few fouls. He was attacking the basket, so I think he deserves to medal today. Let me know, JD. What do you think? What would you change? How would your medals look?
I was just going through it in my head, and I'm saying, we always look for a game where for some reason we could not give it to Cooper. So I kind of agree with you there. Mal had a good game, but he's had a really good game, but he's often the beneficiary of other people's plays. So it's like 50% Mal, 50% someone else being really good passing to him.
I did like the play where Sion like ran around him. Mal had the ball there. Jim Jackson was talking about how Mal like moved. He turned his hip to create a little bit of space, and then he threw the pass ahead, so Sion had momentum. I thought it was very subtle. Couple of the pass ahead, the way he turned his hip, but man, it was a really good play that may go unnoticed in the grand scheme of things.
And as Jimmy pointed out, a very subtle thing, which is the difference between an offensive foul and a good pick, was that he didn't even slightly move his hip to try to get in the way of the defender. He just simply turned straight up. And that is not going to likely get you the call. So wait, do we have any in the chat? Anyone out there saying, no, you guys got this all wrong?
Wes agreed with my medals. Thank you, Wes. He also says he loves the podcast. Well, we love the support from you, Wes. Hope to have you, for the rest of this season and moving, ahead. We plan to do this for a long time coming. It's been a lot of fun, because typically we just talk to each other. So it's good to have all the crew, all of you guys who have joined us throughout this season. It's been a ton of fun to have you guys along the ride to watch this Duke team, which, watching Duke basketball in general is special, but this team has been, it's one of the, I'm trying to think of the right way to put it, but it's one of the special groups of the special teams. I don't know. That's not the right way to put it, but you get what I'm trying to say.
I do. It's been a long ride for me since 1978 watching Duke basketball. And every so often, there is the back-to-back championship team with Leitner and Hurley and Grant Hill. And that was before your time. but it was extremely special to watch those guys play as a unit. And you know how much I love when they just were hitting threes from everywhere between Tatum and
Yes.
yeah, it was Tatum and
Luke Kennard and Grayson Allen. You've bludgeoned me with that being your favorite team. It's seared into my memory.
one of my favorite. I don't
At
have
least
a
your favorite team of the recent
recent,
years. Yeah.
but I am with you. There is something about watching this group, especially with someone that gets so much attention in Cooper Flag, where the entire country, the best player, the best this, and Cooper is just trying to, as dynamic as he is, and as much joy as it brings me to be able to watch yet another phenom come through Duke, he wants to be part of the team. He's not trying to be the standout. And we know that if the season goes our way, there's going to be one more game where early March Madness prediction that we'll have Auburn and Duke, and
Oh,
Auburn wanting revenge for the loss in Cameron, and Duke having to be able to bring all of their offensive skills, their intensity on defense. I sure hope that if we get that far, because that won't happen until the Elite Eight, or either the Elite Eight, the Final Four, or the finals. In which case, maybe we have Malik Brown back.
well, it's the way he especially that first half against Auburn, the way he disrupted Janai Broom would certainly be very important. But my dream scenario is Duke Auburn for the title.
Yeah,
And I guess if you're to like, there's a few other, dreams, right, that you have. Number one would be Duke plays against Clemson in the ACC tournament championship and gets, revenge for that. And then I would love it in like a perfect world if like, Kansas, let's say, is an 8 seed, the way their season's gone, we get revenge for that. And let's say Kentucky's like a 4 or 5 seed, we can get them back. That's how I would draw it up. But the one thing, go ahead on that.
no. It's a different kind of revenge tour, as opposed to
Yes,
the
yes, from last year,
North
right?
Carolina revenge tour. It would be really great, but oh yes, I mean, although watching Houston today, Final
Well,
Four material.
a little asterisk on that one though.
Well, I know there would, but that just means Iowa State is definitely, if their guys come back, then they're an Elite Eight team as well. Look, when we get to the Sweet 16, there are just
Yeah,
going to be one matchup after another that are going to be terrific to watch. But I'm with you. To have the two people, if there's competition for Coop for Player of the Year, it comes from John A. Broom. Did I
Janai
get it
Broom,
right? Janai Broom, almost.
you're close.
To have them both in this championship game is like bird and magic.
Well, it would be like last year with Purdue and UConn. Those were the two best teams throughout most of the year. And Houston, but Houston picked up some injuries that kind of hurt them. We obviously know about one of the big injuries, uh, but that I think they've been the two best teams. But I think this year compared to last year, to your point, Houston, Iowa State, then the SEC. You've got Florida, Tennessee, Alabama. The number of just like great teams. There's just a ton of great teams. This not a ton, but there's at least a handful of great teams, and there's a bunch of good teams once you get to that Sweet 16 level. The one other thing I wanted to say before we get to the end here um, is I think it's remarkable. This is the last year where guys can play, with their fifth year of eligibility from COVID. And Duke is certainly taking advantage of that with Sion James and Mason Gillis. But I think it's remarkable where, Janai Broom, National Player of the Year candidate, he's in his fifth year, right? And Duke, in an era with all these old transfers, is number one or number two team in the country, depending on how you view Auburn, with their rotation that features five freshmen of their first eight guys right now, with Malik Brown out. And I think that says a lot about Coach Shire, his ability to recruit and his ability to implement a system with the combination of the three transfers coming in and Proctor and Foster returning, and the culture that he was able to establish in the preseason this year.
Give a lot of credit of that to Jay Lucas, too, because Jay is often the one that is out there looking for the talent to bring in.
They've credited him with Sion James, and where would we be without Sion James?
This wouldn't be the same team. And then making that key move to say Foster's not going to start. We're going to try Sion.
I don't know who to credit that with, but I know
that's Shire probably.
Oh, probably. I would agree. All right. Couple more from the chat. Wes says the year that you started watching Duke basketball in 1978 was the year he was born. That's pretty funny. And he also says it's crazy that Jake could be going to Miami and we play them next game. So speaking of that, be sure to be on the lookout for the preview for that game. We'll probably release that Monday afternoon. JD, clear your calendar. We got to record Monday afternoon. Make sure to we'll figure it out. We'll figure out a time. And lastly, I'll leave this one to you because my answer is going to be very short. Tim Sedgwick asks, any real possibility Cooper comes back next year? No.
The only hope I give is if they don't win the championship. There have been players who could have gone to the NBA and said, I want to stay. I want to get to be the NCAA tournament champion. And it's like, that expression, I have unfinished business. Cooper Flagg strikes me as he would have fun at college, but he wants to win a national championship. And depending on what happens, the Boozer twins are coming in and Cooper Flagg, he will have an opportunity to have another terrific Duke team. That's the thing. They win the national championship, he's gone.
And Tim, thank you for the question. I don't think there's any chance it happens, but I agree with you. Would I love for Cooper to come back for another year of Duke basketball? Are you kidding me? Sign me up. I couldn't be more excited. I would pay as much money as I possibly could to see that again.
Offer, something to his NIL benefits.
We'll give him, all the cents we earn from this channel. We'll go right to the Cooper Flagg NIL to keep him around.
What are we up to? We've earned $6, right?
Something like that, yeah. So hey, Cooper, if you're listening, bud, we've got $6 to offer you to come back to Duke. I know it's enticing. You may need to think about it. We'll give you some time, But go ahead.
The Duke Brotherhood. The people responsible for raising the money for the NIL. Maybe the other, not my Rachel Curtis, but Rachel
Baker.
So maybe as general manager, she puts together a package that dwarfs what he could earn, and he says, "Wow, I could earn that money. I could go back to Duke. I can still enjoy being an 18 to 19-year old before I go to what is obviously my passion, but it is work being in the NBA. Schedule is longer. There's no question about it that it's going to be a much harder existence, as opposed to you still get a little bit of being, a young adult. So
My personal hope for Cooper, I know obviously right now it looks like he would end up on the Wizards, but based off the unfortunate news, and I hope Mr. Wembenyama gets healthy. But as a Cooper Flag fan, I hope the Spurs just lose every game from here on out, and somehow with the flattened lottery odds, they win it, and Cooper gets to go to San Antonio, because I think that would just be awesome. So with that, let me wrap up here. If you're new, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Please like this video; it helps us grow. Drop a comment and share it with your Duke basketball friends. We'll be back Monday with the Miami preview, which will be available not just on YouTube, but also on Apple and Spotify podcasts. And we'll see you guys.